Hi there, thanks so much for joining our webinar today. Today we're going to be talking about postdoctoral and scholar awards for Australian applicants. Now, just a little bit about the history of the Fulbright program. This program is at about its 70th year, and it was founded just after World War II by a young senator called Senator Fulbright, who had the idea that if we just understood each other a little bit better, people to people and culture to culture, things like World War II wouldn't happen again. So our goal is really to promote educational and cultural exchange between Australia and the United States. But the Fulbright program doesn't just run between our two countries, it operates in over 160 different countries all around the world. Now, over the last 70 years, we've had over 5,000 alumni just between our two countries, and it's grown to become the largest scholarship program in the world. Now, the Fulbright program runs across quite a few different categories. Now, today, just on this slide, we won't be talking about our postgraduate scholarships, but we'll jump straight down to our postdoctoral scholarships, scholar awards, and our distinguished chair scholarship. Now, our postdoctoral scholarships are for applicants who have completed their PhD in the last 5 years, who are interested in conducting research in the US for periods between 3 and 10 months. Now, we have, whilst there's more than 100 scholarships available each year across the whole program, there's approximately 30 postdoctoral scholarships available each year, but of course these change, so please make sure you're having a look at the website. The great thing about our program across all of the categories is you don't need to submit just one application for one scholarship and do that multiple times, but within one application you can apply for every scholarship in that category that you are eligible for. So make sure you look at all of the different opportunities that are available, and as part of the application you include a checklist, and that's your chance to let us know which scholarships you'd like to be considered for. Now, some of our awards just require something a little extra in the application, so it might be an extra statement or a little bit of extra information about how it's relevant. So just make sure you look through every different scholarship and take note of any that you're suitable for and apply for as many as possible. Some people think that it might dilute an application by applying for multiple awards, but for us we actually prefer it because it means we can focus our attention on finding the right people, and then we worry about which awards to slot them in for later. Now, our next category there is our Scholar Awards. This is a bit of a dual category, so it's not only for academics who are at associate professor or full professor level, but this is also for mid-career professionals who at least have an undergraduate qualification and 10 years work experience within the field that they're applying to do research in. Now, under the Scholar Award scheme, you can go for 3 to 4 months in any field or discipline, and if you are applying as a professional side of things, you could also apply to do professional development training. So if there's a short course or program that you wanted to undertake and not just a straight research project, that's also completely fine under the Scholar Award scheme. Now, that very last category there, the Distinguished Chair Scholarship, this is a very specific award, so it's for someone who's at full professor level, who's interested in specifically visiting Kansas State University, who happens to also be in the fields of agriculture and life sciences. So if that's you, take a look at that award, keeping in mind that you can also apply for any of the other awards that come under Scholar Award, but this is just an extra box that you could tick if you're particularly interested in Kansas State University. Now, speaking across these categories, one important thing to keep in mind is part of the application is a compulsory letter of invitation, which means that you need to have made contact and had an invitation from your potential host or hosts in the US to include with your application. We can only assess the applications if we know with certainty that the host proposed is not only aware of the interest of the applicant in their institution, but of course is very supportive as well. So make sure you start that process quite early so that you can include that in your application. One question we get quite often is, can you have more than one host institution? And the answer is yes, but for any that you'd like to spend significant amount of time, so not just a day or two visit, but a substantial amount of time, just ensure that you have that letter of invitation and you've included it with your application. Now, there's lots of different awards that we could talk about, but one that we really wanted to highlight today is the Fulbright Future Scholarship Scheme. Now, this is for, it could be across any of the categories, so whether you're a postdoctoral applicant or professional or academic applicant, you could tick the box to be considered for the Fulbright Future Scholarships. Now, this is for projects that have research that is particularly innovative or really just has the potential to positively impact the lives of Australians. Now, this could be through health, it could be through job creation, it could be through new technologies, and a range of different things. So make sure you take a look at the website to read a little bit more about it. But this is a great program because not only does it have just the generous financial inclusions that you'll see across a few of our awards, but it just means that if any program or if you wanted to do a short course, all of the costs are covered. So for example, some institutions will charge a visiting researcher fee. So there's a fee associated with accessing facilities and resources at any one institution. No matter what those costs are, these would be covered under the Fulbright Future Scholarship Scheme. Now, this is one that does require a little bit extra in your application. So this award in particular requires an impact statement. So just take a look at the website to see what that involves, just to make sure that you are eligible and you've completed the requirements for it. But this is a particularly exciting scheme and has helped our program grow quite significantly over the last few years. So if there's one that in particular you wanted to tick the box for, this would be it. But back to the other benefits across all of our awards. Now, each of our scholarships includes a monthly stipend, so this is designed to cover your living costs whilst in the US. Now, if you have a look on the scholarship pages, you'll see our budget. Keep in mind that this can change year to year, but we've just provided a basic budget so you could get an idea of what the scholarships generally include. All of our scholarships also include a travel allowance. This is designed to cover the cost of your international flights to and from the US. Scholarships also include a dependent allowance. So this is for those of you who would like to bring a spouse or your children with you to the US. So there's different funding amounts depending on whether you are bringing one or more dependents with you. Something else that I should flag with you is your dependents are eligible to travel on a J2 visa, which is connected to your visa, which would be a J1 visa. And on the J2, it's possible for your dependents to obtain working rights. So say if you had a spouse that wanted to go with you, they could get a visa with working rights, which means that they could take part in some work or research, etc., whilst they're in the States. Now, all of our scholarships also include a researcher allowance fee. So this is some money that's set aside just in case you are required to pay one of those fees that we discussed. Each of our scholarships also includes a baseline health and accident cover, so a baseline insurance. Other inclusions, access to our professional network. So I mentioned we have about 5,000 alumni just of our program alone, and we really like to connect our current recipients with our alumni, not only in Australia but in the US. And we're connected to a range of other different institutions that can be really helpful in building connections as well. We run an orientation program each year, so we bring together all of our newly selected Australian and American recipients for a few days in Canberra as a great chance to learn more about the program and also network. Our colleagues in the US also organise enrichment programs, so this is an opportunity to take part in different events and programs during your Fulbright program. The Commission also offers quite extensive support, so we're not only here just to answer questions about the application and about your program, but during your scholarship itself, we're here for any logistical queries or problems that might come up, and we provide quite extensive visa support and other things as well. So you've always got someone that you can call, and we have colleagues based in the US, so if you needed someone in your time zone whilst on program, you've always got someone that you can reach out to and call. But back to our selection and eligibility criteria. So we really look for four main criteria when assessing an application. The first is a strong program proposal or project proposal. So this is a document that you can upload to your application. It's 3 to 5 pages where you tell us what it is you'd like to do or achieve, why it's important, where you would like to do it, and what the potential impacts might be. So this is specifically about the research and how that fits in and why the US. So it's really your chance to show us what it is you'd like to do and why. Keep in mind though that it might be being assessed by not only people in your field but people outside of your field, so just try not to use too much technical language, but just be really clear about what you'd like to do and why. The second set of our criteria is your professional and academic background. So this isn't about just finding applicants who got straight high distinctions through uni and have a one particular type of list of accolades, but really we just want to make sure that we're setting you up for success, that this program makes sense on your trajectory, and that it's really just going to make an impact on you and where you'd like to head. So as part of this criteria, you upload a resume so we can see your professional background, and also transcripts for any degrees that you've completed as well. Now, our third and fourth criteria are somewhat related, and the first is we're looking for applicants who have strong ambassadorial skills or the potential for strong ambassadorial skills. This isn't just about representing Fulbright in the US, but more so if the purpose of the program is to build connections between Australia and the United States. We want people who are interested or happy to represent Australia and make those connections, not just in the office or in the lab, but also cultural connections as well. The next criteria and the final one is personal qualities. We're looking for people that are adaptable, resilient, passionate individuals. And of course, these things are really hard to kind of display in a written application, which is why we ask for a personal statement. This is a 1 to 2 page document where you switch off your professional academic researcher brain and really focus on sharing with the selection committee who you are behind all of that. So what sparked your interest in your area, and what led you on this journey, who you are behind all of it. Just really give them a chance to get to know who you are. So that part's quite important. Just keep in mind that if half the criteria for us is about finding the right people, make sure you take this part quite seriously, and we admit that it is the hardest part of the application to write. Now remember that Fulbright's open to any field, any discipline. We don't have an age limit. It is for Australian citizens only, and we're interested in any reputable host institutions. So we don't have any preferred types of hosts, as long as the host makes sense for you and your research. Now we've talked about a couple of things on this process slide here, the project proposal and the personal statement. Other things to note is our application system is an online system where you can fill out basic information and then you upload a range of attachments to that application. So one, of course, is that project proposal. The other is a personal statement. We've discussed your transcripts and a resume, but you'll also include that letter of invitation from your host, and you'll enter the details of 3 references. You put in their names and their contact information, and the system will send them a reference report that they can fill out on your behalf. So all of these things complete the full application, but it's really essentially quite a basic form, but you upload a range of different attachments to it as well. Now, applications are open each year from February to July. Check the website to make sure that you can check the dates. So of course these might vary slightly year to year, so just have a look to make sure exactly what day they open and exactly what day they close. You don't have to wait too long after you submit. You'll hear from the Commission between August and September. We get in touch with people 1 to 2 weeks before interview dates to let them know if they've been shortlisted for an interview. Each year, the interview dates are posted on the website in approximately July, so have a look to see when each of the different committees are taking place so you can get an idea of when you should hear back from the program. All applicants will receive final notification on the outcome of their application by the end of the year. Usually this takes place in November, but just keep in mind that it can take up until the end of each year to hear back. We then bring our recipients together in February of the following year. So if you apply in 2020, we'll bring everyone together in February of 2021. And then recipients can commence their programs between July and June of the following year. So again, if you applied in 2020, you would attend orientation in February 2021, and then you could begin your program anytime from July 2021 up until June 2022. Now, the Fulbright website is, of course, the best place to start. That's where we provide in-depth information on all of our different scholarships, the different pieces that might need to be included in an application. There's great FAQs on the application process and on our programs. We also provide quite detailed instructions on how to complete an application. Now, each country is a little bit different, so we provide a really detailed PDF that goes question by question on the application portal, giving you advice on where to include what types of different information. There's alumni profiles if you're interested in seeing who we've supported in the past. There's links to more webinars, and there is so much more. So make sure you check out the Fulbright website as a place to start, www.fulbright.org.au. And if you have a specific question that you can't find on the website, get in touch with the scholarships team, fulbright@fulbright.org.au, or feel free to call the office. The phone number's listed there below. But of course, we prefer an email so we can make sure we send you the right links and information that you can refer back to. Thanks so much for joining us, and please join us for another webinar in the future.